Thank you very much, Adam. And I want to welcome everybody here in the room and I'll be able to move to the presentation. So what I'm going to speak to you about today, as Adam said, is looking at some large-scale application of artificial intelligence, and in particular in oil and gas. Sorry. So when I look at artificial intelligence and what we do at SparkCognition, we really apply the technology in many different industries. SparkCognition is not a software or hardware company. We are really a group of mathematicians who have put together artificial intelligence solutions for multiple markets, ranging from aviation to power generation and looking at things as important as cybersecurity, transportation, defense, consumer packaged goods, or maritime. Cybersecurity is extremely important because you need to protect your data on your assets if you are going to go into significant digital transformation project. And we are very much attacked today by the bad actors. So let's make sure you protect your assets. And so we apply the technology to do many different things. Predictive maintenance, we're going to speak about this one. But it's just one of the places where we use our technology, process optimization, decision support, workflow automation, and of course, endpoint protection. We have a suite of products, Darwin, DeepArmor, DeepNLP, SparkPredict. But if you want to remember one thing today, is our technology is mostly around zero code application, which means you don't need to know Python or you don't need to know any other software to deploy our solution. They're all going to be run point and click type of application. And at the same time, we are really automating the process of data science. So data science takes a long time, and we have created tools which are effectively virtual data scientists to do the work for you quickly and very efficiently. Now, your data scientists are still going to be needed because AI is progressing at a certain point, but most of your data science project cannot be done automatically. And so your data scientists will be able to concentrate on the hard challenges which are not yet solved by artificial intelligence at scale. But let's look at some of the application in oil and gas, in particular predictive maintenance. Predictive maintenance, we are predicting what's going to happen, which is a bit different from prescriptive, which is we're going to predict what's going to happen, and we're going to tell you what to do about it. So here today we're looking at predictive maintenance. Let's look at what's going to happen. This project here is run in the North Sea for Aker BP on this unmanned production platform called Tambar. And Tambar has a few wells coming to the platform, and the hydrocarbons or the fluids coming of the wells are pushed to a nearby facility by this big pump in the top right corner. Anytime this pump has an issue or fail, production is automatically shuts down, and the production is lost for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days minimum actually, which is the time it takes to get people on equipment to come to Tambar. Remember, we're in the North Sea, and in the North Sea we have bad weather, so production may be stopped for 1 week, 2 weeks at a time. As a result, this platform was very low performing in terms of availability, which was the reason the client chose that platform. Everybody knew it was one of the very worst platforms, and we knew exactly what was the reason for it. On historical information, we were able to define 3/4 of the upcoming failure about 12 days in advance. And so that justified the deployment, which took about 2 weeks. And from there on, we were looking at live data, and have been able to predict every single upcoming failure since the solution was implemented. And in the best case scenario, we actually predicted 25 days in advance. So not only did we perform as expected in the proof of concept of the pilot work, but we actually exceeded the result. And this is very typical of artificial intelligence project because the systems keep on learning all the time. You get better as you go. This project was a finalist in Abu Dhabi for the ADIPEC Award in 2019 in the Digital Transformation Project of the Year. This next project here is happening in Texas. Texas is a refinery, very good old refinery, about 70 years old. But the refinery itself is well maintained, well established, and has been in operation for, as I said, about 70 years. So when we got started, there was a need to do some digital transformation efforts. Those efforts were put in place to get new sensors, to get new data, to put the data center on the edge in the refinery. But long story short, once we got implemented, we saw a few things happening. First of all is the availability of the refinery had increased. So as a result, the refinery was able to output more product. And when you have more product, you have more better bottom line revenue. So it was very good. At the same time, the processes in the refinery have stabilized. And because we had more stable processes, the quality of the product was more stable, and of, generally speaking, a better quality. And that was very well received by the clients of the refinery, who are mostly in the aerospace domain. But if I bring Mr. Doug Smith here to the talk and ask him to speak about this project, he will not speak about how much more money is made or how much happier his clients were. He's going to speak about two things, safety and moral. Safety, because when we went from a 2 o'clock phone call that something is broken or needs to be fixed, most of the time the problem was fixed efficiently and nobody was injured and nothing else was broken. But every so often, in the middle of the night, somebody would injure slightly himself or something else in the refinery got broken as part of the repair. And so when we went into a different type of call, still at 2 a.m. in the morning, but the call now is, hey Joe, we think that this pump is going to break in about 8 days to 2 weeks. Why don't you have a meeting in the morning with your best team and tell us how you plan to do this repair safely, efficiently, without disrupting production. Everything has changed. The safety record have improved tremendously, and at the same time, the moral of the people in the refinery has improved tremendously, because instead of being the bad guys that were always late to fix something, now there were the good guys who were always fixing stuff before it happened. As a result, the moral of those people changed tremendously. They didn't change what they had to do. They still have to do the maintenance. But now there was a good guy doing the maintenance before a problem had occurred. The third project I want to speak to you about today is believed to be the largest implementation of artificial intelligence in oil and gas. And it's again a predictive maintenance project for BP on their offshore production platform, their refineries, and their petrochemical plants. Now, the few petrochemical plants which are running already SparkPredict have been sold to INEOS. So this project is being run by INEOS on the petrochemical plants. But for BP, we still operate those assets mentioned previously. Here on the picture is Atlantis. It's an operation platform in the Gulf of Mexico. It happens to be the first platform on which we deployed the solution. And once we got done with the paperwork, the contracts, pilot project, and the proof of concept, then it took about 2 months to deploy this solution on 20 subsystems. After we had demonstrated that we could do advance notice of failure about 9 days in advance. I really needed 4 days for the project to be successful on the system. We had about 9 days historically. So once we got implemented, very quickly realized that we could predict asset failure. This compressor is going to fail. This generator is going to fail. This pump is going to fail. But production impacting events are only imputed to asset failure about a quarter of the time, which means When you have a production impacting event and you lose production, only 25% of the time this is related to an asset which has failed. 3/4 of the time, which is most of the time, it is a process failure. Nothing needs to be repaired, but the process becomes so unstable that something needs to be fixed. And when we realized this was a one moment which had allowed us to really catch those production impacting events at scale. And here we're showing a 4% increase in annual production. This was the best case scenario on one of those very efficient platforms. Typically, we got about 1% improvement in production. Once again, this project was a finalist at the ADIPEC Award in the Digital Transformation Project of the Year category, just a few months ago in November of 2020. We have looked at how we can do those projects on high volume platform, low volume platform, FPSOs. To us, data is data is data. We work with your subject matter experts and your data scientists in your client organization to put together solutions that are driven by value to our clients. We obviously do this also on land in refineries. We spoke a bit about it. Gas processing facilities, LNG train on terminal. If you have scrubber, compressor, turbine, a lot of rotating equipment and large processes, we are very confident we can improve your system. But how do you successfully implement AI? And in particular, why do projects fail? Most of the time, the project fail when you have a digital transformation project or any project, you're trying to change people, technology, and processes. Those are the three pillars of any change management project. Now, if you try to change the three things at the same time, project fail. You cannot change the way people are working, the process you're implementing, and the technology you're implementing at the same time. Because, really the biggest reason that projects do fail is people. And people are very unlikely to support a major transformation because they are scared, because they are people. We don't like change. We are scared about change. And so it's very important to find for your first project a solution which is only going to change one thing, technology. And that's why I like so much cybersecurity and predictive maintenance, because really you do not change what the people are doing. Maintenance still need to be done. You still need to have your same people doing the maintenance, but instead of doing it reactively after things fail, now they do it proactively before things fail, before you know something is going to fail. When it comes to the people and processes, we are trying to minimize how much they are getting changed. There will be a few changes here and there, but with cybersecurity and with predictive maintenance, you are essentially changing the technology. And once you have done this for your next project, your people will support you because they have seen how efficient that technology is for them, that it has made their life better. They used to be the bad guys, they become the good guys thanks to AI. On the next project, they will support you strongly. And on this first project, the first time you tell them this is going to fail, they may just look at it and laugh, yeah, sure, let me do my job. But when 10 days later this particular asset failed, they looked at it and say, how did that system know? Second time, third time, by the fourth time, they're not even questioning it. They're just saying, it's telling me it's going to fail. I'm going to fix it. And with this, I would like to thank you for your time, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Philippe, and thank you very much for joining us. That was a fantastic presentation. I was very impressed with the range of industries you're working in. I think you obviously have a lot of knowledge coming in from cross-industry, which is, and obviously congratulations on the excellent work you've done with organizations like Aker BP and also Lexmark. That was really good to see what you've done there as well. I have a couple of questions because I'm very intrigued about a few things. We talk about data perennially on all of these events. I think data is the most commonly used word amongst every discussion. Now, when is the data good enough to get started on an AI project? Because I think that's the burning question, really.
Yesterday, today. I mean, there's always this concept that you need to have perfect data to get to your AI project. But perfect data doesn't exist. Maybe it existed, when we had 10 sensors on a platform or on a system. But now we have thousands of sensors, and you get all these historians which have been taken over the last few years. And so you have a lot of data. Let's make use of it. And what you will find as you implement AI on your existing data is you are going to realize that your data strategy was not really perfect or the way it should be. So you're going to modify your data strategy to get better AI implementation. It's a loop. As you get better with your AI project, you get better with your data project. But if you work on your data until it's perfect and ready, you'll never get started on AI. And you're going to miss a lot of the value of having data. When we get started with data, we just start with the data you have, and we have a bunch of questions, and we're going to try to answer all the questions you have with the data you have. And there'll be a mismatch. I mean, we'll answer 60, 70, 80% of the question. And then you say, for the last 20%, we don't have the right data. Or maybe we have the right data, but it's a wrong sampling rate. Or maybe we have the right data, but it's a wrong resolution. We need every second. We need every PSI instead of every hour or every 10 PSI, whatever that might be. Or maybe we come to a case which is, this part of the plant, we can't see it. There is no sensor. There is no data around there. So we're going to need to go and put new data. But then you are faced with a business challenge. What is the cost of implementing this new data? And what is the value to us if we if we have this information, is it worth the investment? So there's a business decision that we help our client with. We cannot see this part of the plant. This is what we would need to make it. And then there's a business decision that takes place. This is how much it costs. Yes, no, we do it, we don't do it.
It's a very good
I hope
point.
that answers your question.
Yeah, I like the way that's a very good. I like the first line to that answer. It is. I mean, I think this is a lot of companies are talking about. When is it time? Do we need to prepare ourselves, particularly for our data before we use all this technology? I think that's a problem with a lot of refineries at the moment. Can I ask you, because obviously I mentioned you work in different sectors. One of the key parts, I think, within AI is how far behind is the downstream industry compared to other industries or other sectors? Because we know it's behind in certain other aspects, but how far is it behind in terms of AI adoption as well?
So the good news is, as we work across industry, we realize that industries are behind the commercial world, the Netflix and the Facebook and the Amazon of the world. I mean, we have not yet reached the same level of maturity that they have. But when I look at all of the industries we work on, everybody believes they are behind. So, you're not, downstream is not particularly behind anybody else. In fact, oil and gas, as a complete industry, we are doing very well. We're probably not the market leader, but we are definitely not the laggard. So I would say we are on par with other industries. And if you are not yet on the digital transformation project and into employing AI, today is the day to get started.
That's a very interesting point. I wouldn't have thought that, but it's good to get an expert's view on that, especially towards the AI. So that's very, very interesting. A very nice point to finish, Philippe. I've got to move on to the next panel, with what we're doing. But thank you very much for joining us. It was a brilliant presentation. Everyone who's viewing this, if you want to contact SparkCognition, they will be running a couple of workshops later on today as well. So please feel free to reach out to the SparkCognition team. So thank you very much, Philippe, for your presentation.
Thank you, Adam, for your time, and thank you, everybody, for listening.